My name is Wesley Alexander Hill. I'm currently the International Program Manager and Lead Analyst for Energy Growth and Security at the International Tax and Investment Center. So my regional specialization and portfolio is East Asia, Central Asia, the Caucasus, and to a lesser extent, Eastern Europe and Russia. My history with NBR goes back to when I was working on my doctorate at Tulane University. So I figured, well, if I'm going to understand China and really call myself a China analyst in any capacity, I should actually speak the language. So that's how it sort of started. I applied for the CLFP fellowship, and then I was off to China to study. Locale that you want to study extensively or even engage tangentially with, you don't know what you don't know. So if I had to pick a professional contact, I would definitely say that my exposure with NBR to different policy-making groups in Washington, D.C., or people who cited NBR in Washington, D.C., and then they look on my resume and said, "Oh my God, you were at NBR as a CLFP fellow? Well, how was that? Blah blah blah." And it opened a lot of doors that I wasn't anticipating, and it was a nice bonus on top of all of that substantive knowledge that I gained. I would say they're very good. I'm very pleased with where I ended up. It was not somewhere where I had necessarily expected, say 5 years ago when I had started my doctorate, but I absolutely love what I do. I love that I have a job that is engaged with policy making, it is engaged with education, it is engaged with analysis, and I get to work on these sorts of things that I feel that make a difference every day. My advice would be that the hardest thing is the very first step. It's getting your foot in the door. So my advice would be that you have to accept the fact that you're going to have to work as an intern somewhere, or maybe it will be your intellectual labor may be slightly undervalued in this market or in the policy making space. And unfortunately, just the way it is right now, that's probably something you can't avoid. But once your foot is in the door, once you are at any policymaking place or any institution or any think tank, it becomes much, much easier to either move into a specialty that you're more interested in, or get yourself recognized, or work on projects that you really want to work on. So, NBR has always been pretty good about staying engaged with its alumni. When COVID first happened and we were all around China, they were very good about getting us out of there really quickly, and then quickly replacing us in schools in Taiwan, or some I believe were in Singapore or other places in the US. But after that ended, NBR has always been pretty good about reaching out, letting people know about either work opportunities, job opportunities, networking opportunities. They've had some social events in Washington, D.C. I was invited for the NBR's third cohort of CLFP members. I was sort of there as like a grizzled veteran, letting them know my experiences, the first time around. So I think they've been pretty good about it. NBR is very proactive in reaching out to its alumni. As a child, my grandfather had just retired from the United Nations. So he worked with the UN on all sorts of arms control, monitoring these sorts of things. And I thought, well, this is very interesting, and I want to do something like that. So from that point on, I knew I kind of wanted to do something with diplomacy, politics, foreign policy. I really got settled on China and East Asia in particular when I would think in high school, because China was just always this very big, very important thing where you would add a couple of zeros at the end of something if it was, describing a phenomenon that you would also see in the West. And it was astonishing to me that there was this thing that was so important and so poorly understood, not only in the American public, but also in American policymaking circles. And one of the reasons why I think NBR is doing such good work and why the CLFP fellowship is so important is that even if you don't end up doing something directly related to China or Chinese policy, you are contributing to making China a more understood state actor in the zeitgeist, the professional or political zeitgeist.